anyone on this panel's living memory, with the possible exception of Rod, that Washougal had a chair of RTC. I think the first time that that's ever happened has been with Councilmember Costin. And so it's a somewhat unusual situation. And the other thing to say is that the history of making the appointments, whether it was to the various, now for a number of years after we went to a workshop format, we didn't even appoint finance, public works, public safety, or community development committees. All of that work was done in workshop. And the rest of it has always been informal, because the hard thing is to figure out, I mean, we're all busy. Many of us have outside jobs. And it historically, less true this year than any time that I remember, the hard part has been to recruit people to fill the positions. There's never, in my memory, been any contention over, well, I want to do this. It's always been, please, 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 would you? And so that, this is an entirely different process. I mean, for example, in '09, when Councilmember McDaniel, myself, and Acting Mayor Costin were the appointments committee, we didn't have a vote. It was a matter of consensus, not only amongst the committee, but amongst the people that we wanted to get to serve on those committees. Will you do this? Well, if you do this, do you want to do that? Kind of thing. It was always a negotiation. There was never a decision. And so this is all pretty new.
And I'd like to build on that theme real quick, Mr. Mayor, on negotiation. If we were to pass something that looked different from what Camas had passed, can we arrange some coming to the table of neutral members to sit down, maybe our appointment committee and their appointment committee, and come up with a solution to bring back to the councils? You know, it just, you know, if we were to do something different, I know some will perceive it as us picking a fight, and that's not the case at all.
I don't think that, go ahead. Sorry.
And so, you know, to me, I would, you know, I would hope Camas would understand that, you know, while we understand and they moved ahead and made their appointments, you know, since we are the other half of the equation, that they'll come and sit down with us and we can make some kind of agreement make place after this vote.
Yeah, I don't think, you know, certainly from the administrative standpoints, and I would hope from the legislative sides as well, both for Camas and Washougal, I don't think anybody's going to look at it in any way untoward. I think you certainly have a case, you know, on these appointments where things have been done, and this is no excuse for the things have been done the way they've been done for over the years, and everybody thought they knew how things were done and why they were done and that type of stuff. And better information now tells us that there's a process in place for both of those, and we go from there. I don't think, you know, Camas, I believe, and not to speak for them, but I believe that Camas most likely wants the best representation that both cities can have on both boards. So I think that they would be open and willing to listen to anything that we have and reconsider their vote. I think this is just a case certainly where, you know, these individual committee assignments they're under a little bit more scrutiny this year of who's placed on those than what has been in the past. In addition, the process to put them there. So I don't think anybody's going to look at it that anybody's picking a fight or anything else. We want to make sure that we've got the best representation, period, regardless what that takes. Even if to the point, and I won't say that we shouldn't go there, but if we can find something short of both councils having to get together and literally have a 10-minute, 30-minute meeting, joint meeting to where we elect those, then so be it. The short answer to your question is yes. The longer answer is longer. I don't know that Camas even has an appointments committee.
Yeah.
You know, Camas, I believe, still operates under the auspices of the mayor making the council appointments all the way down the board and going from there. So in this case, though, they did take it as a matter of consideration at their last meeting to go ahead and do that, which they thought they were justifiably doing
Sure.
as one of the two governing bodies. So.
Sure. And that's understandable. You know, my desire in this is to nominate Dave Shoemaker to serve on the C-Tran board.
Do you want to put that in the form of a nomination? I guess I'm still open to council. I don't want to start something and finish something here this evening that doesn't get us down the road to being,
Well, if we send our
Complete in there.
wishes to Camas, then I guess the next step is on them to come back and negotiate.
okay? So if I
Do we need
under,
a second before we can discuss this?
pardon?
Do we need a second before we can discuss
No,
this?
not to put somebody into nomination, no.
Okay. I just have a question.
You bet.
Really, it gets back to historical precedent, and I think where we've gotten off track here is last year, we didn't switch places with Camas regarding C-Tran and RTC, and that's thrown the whole process off because I don't know if it's you know, some sort of a formal agreement or if it's always just been you know, a verbal agreement, but we always switch places on the boards each year. And so technically, you know, since we've had it, the RTC board for 2 years in a row, we would be switching places with Camas this year. So I would be curious to know who their recommendations are for those two board positions.
The two that they put forth for RTC was Molly, and for C-Tran was Linda Dietzman.
Okay,
So
and
the
I
same two individuals have
understand
been in
that Linda Dietzman has also been on the C-Tran board for 2 years in a row or more. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Molly?
Regardless of how this turns out tonight or in the future, and I can understand the concern here, one of the policy code policy changes I would like to make or present to the Policy Code and Policy Committee does have to do with the responsibility of appointed counselors to boards where they represent the council as a whole, and that responsibility to come back to their respective councils. Both respective councils
Yeah.
for discussion and consensus and approval on any issues of a specific importance.
To this area, right?
That,
Yeah.
yes, for
Yeah.
this area that occurred during the year. You know, and so I've thought about that after some comments that have been made by council members as well as comments from the public, and I think that would be completely appropriate as a policy statement to make that statement, that regardless of who that member is, that members should vote and discuss items at those boards as represented by the majority of the council or the council position. So, I mean, that kind of gets into a lot of different things, which I didn't really want to open up fully tonight, but I do think that's a pivotal and very important element of the choices for both RTC and C-Tran is the responsibility that each of those members has to